special green screen forecast, your host Ivan Kamau, as this weekend marks 1 year since the May 16th tornado. And I'm going to go over some new information that our National Weather Service found from that tornado, as well as what's ahead, not only with those temperature trends, but even storm chances. So make sure you watch this one all the way to the end. Let's start off with this graphic from our friends at the National Weather Service in St. Louis, as they have found some new damage points across the region. And believe it or not, their team of meteorologists found over 10,000 new damage points from this EF3 tornado, as well as 2 tornadoes that occurred across the region. Now that EF3 tornado remains unchanged. It dissipated around Granite City before a weaker tornado developed in eastern Madison County that also dissipated in Madison County. But here's what's different. They increased the width of this tornado to 1.8 miles wide, making it the widest tornado on record in St. Louis history. That dates back to about 1950, and doesn't mean that nothing happened before then, but that's really just when those records were being kept. So just some very interesting information here, and kudos to our National Weather Service. They're probably one of the best offices in the United States. Just by this, one of the best surveys that they've done. Looking back on the radar imagery on this day, remember me showing you this last year, where I showed you it was a classic supercell thunderstorm. The northern side of this storm is where you had the hail core, and of course that southwestern side is where we saw that tornado. That's where that hook is. That was just north of downtown St. Louis in the Arch, and this is where it tracked through that northern part of town before it made that northeastern curve. And you notice even the debris that we saw on radar was just a true indicator that this tornado was doing damage. This is what we call correlation coefficient, and there is where it is. It basically gets your eye's attention. That's where that tornado was, just north of the Gateway Arch. And of course, what was the rear flank downdraft with this storm? But again, this mainly stayed on the northern side of downtown St. Louis. And so this is why we always say it, and I know a lot of people already have these NOAA weather radios. They got it before actually the storms we had recently on April 27th. Just make sure you replace the batteries on them and ensure that the switch is turned to on, especially if you're new and you just got a NOAA weather radio, because those alerts come immediately. You can always get those alerts from our National Weather Service also on your phone. Just make sure that it is charged. Now looking ahead, already having my eyes on Monday. Now the greatest potential looks to be a little bit further to our west, places like Kansas City. And these storms, as they develop out to the west and move our way late Monday, the focus is for them to start to weaken, but our National Weather Service, they'll be staffed watching this just in case, because as we get towards Tuesday, that leftover energy could even develop some additional storms. Now there's still some questions on how this is going to play out, because of course any morning cloud cover could shut down this threat. But if we have that sunshine, that will be the added instability. We also have Gulf moisture coming in from the south that could fuel a few stronger storms. Again, doesn't look like April 27th, does not look like a higher end threat, but it is something that I'll be watching. And again, a NOAA weather radio is always your best friend, so that you can get those warnings out immediately. And so again, make sure you get yourself a NOAA weather radio if you haven't got one, from midlandusa.com, to keep your family safe during the 2026 spring severe weather season. Now let's look at those temperature trends from the Climate Prediction Center. And as you can see, this 6 to 10 day temperature outlook looks slightly different. And this is because temperatures might slightly lower as we get into those latter portions of May. This is temporary though, maybe to slightly near to above normal, because I fully expect that these above normal temperatures will continue to dominate parts of the United States. You notice that in that 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, those above normal temperatures really dominating from our region points to the north. And our normal highs for this time of the year are now getting into the upper 70s as we get towards the end of May, and eventually even getting into the 80s. So when we see these signals, these would be highs well into the 80s, even near 90 in those bullseyes that you see up to the north. And I know we've already had those milder temperatures, and this is just a further indication that that is what we're going to be seeing. Even in that 3 to 4 week outlook, you notice getting into those early portions of June 2026, we see those signals continuing for those above normal temperatures across our region. And I know this is going to make you start thinking about the pool, but of course we're probably probably going to have to dodge those summertime thunderstorms, and we'll watch areas, especially out in the plains, for some more activity as we get towards the end of the month, and we'll see how that influences our region. So those will be things I'm watching. Not seeing any signals of high-end severe weather, but that doesn't mean you don't want to be weather aware. You want to always be weather aware, and of course our National Weather Service will be doing that too to keep you informed and safe. But until then, thank you for watching this green screen forecast all the way to the end. You're the best. Make sure you download Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, to follow me for the latest outdoor weather reports. I'm also on Threads and Instagram at Weather with Alvin, so that I can bring you those weekend forecasts on Fridays and detailed week forecasts that are much shorter than this on Sundays. So make sure you follow me on there for the latest. And until then, I'll see you in the next one.